Welcome back once again to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Shockingly, I am, as always, Chat Show. I've missed you horribly. We did a show 2 weeks ago with the wonderful Stephen Collins, and then we did a pre-record right before with my hero Alan Markin. And that was fun. I hope you enjoyed that. If you missed it, you have to go into the archives. Each and every one of you. I highly recommend it because he talked about Peter Falk, and he talked about how The In-Laws was put together by him. This I did not know. I thought I knew everything about this fucking movie.
Your favorite comedy of all time?
It is my favorite comedy of all time, and it turns out he said he had enough Jews at Warner Brothers to say...
I thought you said there's enough Jews
There's enough Jews at Warner Brothers, which, let's be honest...
There's never enough Jews.
It works. He had enough juice or Jews over at Warner Brothers.
There's enough Jews at Warner Brothers.
Stay on them a little longer, will you?
Oh,
will you
boy.
Just stay on them a little longer while I sign in to the...
Anyway, I says to Mabel, I says, I missed you too. This is...
You know who missed you more? Sabrina.
Aw, she's adorable. What a dear.
She's my Degrassi buddy.
Oh.
Which is appropriate because she's 17, 18, even though I'm 30. She should be watching Degrassi. I shouldn't be.
Okay, you may now send me tweet fives and questions for our guests through the wonderful world of G-Chat, because the AIM is not working with Apple's Mountain Lion. Go fuck themselves.
Someone on the thing just said, geez, Sam is pale. Yes, of course I'm pale. I've been living in Philadelphia where it rains all day.
You're right. You're way more pale than normal. No.
You can't go outside. It's always overcast.
Are you making excuses for being pale? You're always pale.
I've been pale
since... You pride yourself on not having a tan.
No tan.
Right.
I do not tan. I go straight to burn.
Don't make excuses with Philly.
I was just saying.
Oh, this is a way of saying, Sammy, you've been away doing a television show.
We covered this. The people already know. We don't need to go down that road
Do
again.
No Harm.
Yeah.
Is the name of it. So Alan Arkin had enough Jews and juice at Warner Brothers to say, I saw Peter Falk on a talk show. We should do a comedy together. I got a script for a movie called Blazing Saddles by Andy Bergman that they're not going to make. Mel Brooks is rewriting it, but I loved Andy Bergman's version, so I want Andy Bergman to write this movie for Peter Falk and I to star in. That's how The In-Laws came to be.
Those
Who
were the
the fuck
days.
knew that?
Those were the days.
That's not even on a special features on any DVD. You only get that here. You're not buffering. Why would you think there's something wrong? You know, people listen to the show, Kevin.
Yeah.
But I do get emails from people saying, I love listening to the buffering gag. I always do this. I tap my ear wondering,
Yeah, you think that there's something wrong.
did the thing fall out? I'm just back from Des Moines, Iowa. And boy, are they ready for this presidential campaign to be the fuck over with. They are inundated with commercials every 9 seconds. And you would think it'd be every 30 seconds at least. Nope, every 9 seconds. It's insane. I just went on stage tonight and said, I feel your pain. I'm just so sorry for them that they've got to put up with this shit. And then I made them laugh by saying, great news about Mitt Romney. Tremendous news. He will not recognize the poor people when they storm the castle. Never seen one. Thinks it's the cast of Walking Dead down by the moat. So thank everyone there at the Funny Bone in Des Moines, Iowa for a fantastic weekend. Love each and every one of you. Sammy, you're with us. You're back. You've got a few days off from the Do No Harm, debuting still in February, they say.
As far as I know.
On the National Broadcasting Company. So we're happy to have you back as always.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be back, and especially for today's guest, whom we initially had booked some time ago.
I believe I fucked that up?
No, it was not a fuck-up. It was all good.
What was the good?
You were playing in the World Series, and you were doing very well.
I had an extended stay. It was that weekend.
Yeah, it was that weekend.
Yeah, which I guess I should plug because this is going to happen.
Come on.
Actually, this will happen the day after Mickey Dolenz. Mickey Dolenz is our guest next Sunday.
Oh, my goodness.
And the day after, the 29th of October, I will be in the booth with Antonio Estefan for the live Final table of the World Series of Poker main event. I'm going to go in the booth with Antonio and
Wait,
call.
you're going to be in the booth and playing at the same time?
No, I'm not in the Final 9.
Oh, you're...
No, I'm calling.
See, I haven't been watching on the TV. I don't know how well you do.
All I know is it's clogging up our DVR, which is like 99.999% full, because it's all World Series of Poker.
Oh, well, here's the good news.
In
They
86.
sent me DVDs of every single episode, so go ahead and wipe it
Great.
clean.
Finally.
Yeah.
I thought it was Degrassi to record.
Clearly, we've got to have our priorities, people. Jamie, are you excited for Mickey Dolenz next Sunday?
I am, yes. 6-year-old Jamie is very excited.
And then how about seeing the Monkees for the first time with Michael Nesmith at the Greek Theater on November 10th? Are you excited about that?
Davy Jones, clearly not this spring, but the spring prior. I saw him at Epcot Center.
Right, at Epcot back at the
But,
Disney World.
So that was fantastic. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that I at least got to see him. So now I get to see the rest of the Monkees.
pretty damn sweet. It's
I'm
all.
going to wear my Mike Nesmith hat.
And how many others as authentic as yours do you think will be there? I'm going to say 6 out of the entire
I
audience.
think it's going to be a rarity, I hope.
Not many.
Special.
Sammy, anything else?
No.
Weird.
No, I
Just a
haven't.
weird sort of lost you for a moment.
I was trying to think if I had anything, and I don't. I've just been working. It's very boring.
You could, based on the monitor, which I'm sure is not accurate, there is a little too much light falling on Sammy's, oh, that should come down a little, falling on Sammy's left side of his face.
Thank you.
The right side of his face is starting to look like the dark side of the moon, Pink Floyd.
You see, ever since we moved to the new studio space, I can't see the monitors.
Well, that's purposely.
Yeah,
Because that's
you
all
know, this is how I would do the show. If I could.
He's looking after you. Now you look totally normal. That's it. Perfect.
See, thank
And-
you, Dr. Chen.
Thank you, Dr. Chen.
Let's never undervalue
Nope.
our Asian friends.
Who do you know that's originally from Mount Greenwood on the south side, 103rd and Kedzie?
Jesus.
And then when he was 10, off to the aptly named Downers Grove.
Sounds like my Uncle Floyd.
Nope. It's our guest today.
What?
That I'm unbelievably excited that I'm no longer in the World Series of Poker and we
Does-
can actually talk to.
Does he know my Uncle Floyd?
Let's find out.
Okay.
Do you have an Uncle Floyd?
Do not.
I have an Uncle Sam. Well, had.
And I have an Uncle Sid. Can we get back to the show? Jesus. Do you have an Uncle Sam?
I have an Uncle Jimmy and an Uncle Kevin, but no Uncle Sam.
Ah,
The government, we all have.
sure.
Yeah.
He wants you.
He does.
That Uncle Sam.
He
Please
does.
welcome Matt Walsh to this very table.
It's an honor.
Hello,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you very much. Very
Please
excited.
be seated. It's not necessary. Talk to me about 103rd and Kedzie, won't you?
I feel like you guys did some CIA stuff. That sounds really close to home. I grew up south side Chicago.
Yes, you did.
Very like whatever, a lot of tradesmen, classic working class
Mount
neighborhood.
Greenwood.
Mount Greenwood, which is Chicago. It's a neighborhood in Chicago.
Right.
And then
It's not a suburb outside the city.
no, it is in city proper.
Right.
And then we moved out to the burbs, and when I was 10.
Yeah. The promise of the suburbs.
Promise to the suburbs, bigger. There was like 6 kids in like a 2-bedroom at the time, so we got a bigger house, and then one more kid came. So
Yeah, you were eventually 7 kids.
we
Seven
turned into
Walsh kids.
Yeah, Irish Catholic, classic, big family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Went to Queen of Martyrs grammar school.
that doesn't
for
fuck with...
I know.
How old are you before the name starts to mean something?
I don't know. I left when I was in 4th or 5th grade, so it didn't. Mean
Angrily?
I didn't understand what it was all about, but
So no fist pump, up or down?
it was fine.
You just walked out.
It was just left. We all moved. We all left.
And then but you took up with a new church.
We had a church out in the burbs, but
Downers Grove?
Downers Grove, public school after that. No more Catholic or whatever, private school. Just regular public schools.
Did anyone try to get the name changed from Downers Grove?
That's where Emo Phillips is from, oddly enough.
And by the way,
He's a downer.
he would be into
Yeah.
into evidence as B1.
Yeah. I think Downers was the farmer that owned all the land, so I think that's where it came
It was his grove.
from. It was his grove. Yes, it was.
So around the table, there's a little bit of attention going to Pops. All the kids. Are you the only kid that's trying to get Dad to laugh at the table?
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
See.
This is like psychology. My father was a salesman and pretty funny, but what was funny about him is he's the sort of person who laughed before he got to the punchline. So you were just laughing at how excited he was, and that was enough to tickle me. So I gave him a lot of positive reinforcement.
Right.
And so I think he liked that I liked his delivery, and so they were supportive. He liked comedy, and I liked comedy.
I'm trying to get at what the early seeds might have been. Who's making you laugh on the television and at the movies?
I was classically trained. I was turned on to the Marx Brothers, the Stooges, probably got into Peter Sellers.
But turned on, or you just stumbled across, or somebody sat you down and said...
No, I think it was probably in rerun, like free TV in Chicago, like
Sure.
some of the whatever outside channels that would play it, and Martin and Lewis, and I'm showing my age, Abbott and Costello.
Your age is on the internet. Don't get excited.
Okay, fine. I just turned 48. And
October 13th, as a matter
October
of fact.
13th, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So those were my early like inspirations in comedy, and then when I got older, it was like Python and Kids in the Hall and stuff like that.
Right. But I mean, around the house, was there someone, any of the siblings saying, check this out, or you just stumbled across these funny people on your own? I'm wondering if there, because you had a brother that was into improv for a little while.
Yeah, I have a brother, Pat, who does comedy a little bit. They turned me more onto music, and I was more to avoid getting beaten, I think, by my brothers. I would make them laugh, because I was like the fourth. So I would divert them by putting stupid things in my head or eating anything or just anything to divert them.
It's an amazing weapon.
It is. I think that's where it came from. And Pat probably turned me on to some good comedy like Steve Martin and things like that. So I give my brother Pat some credit, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great weapon. According to Tim Allen himself, he avoided prison rape being funny.
Richard Pryor probably said the same thing. I think he did time, and he spoke of that, yeah.
Yeah. You'd think Pryor get a pass.
I think he said he had to be funny. He said some crazy motherfuckers in there.
Yeah.
He basically said he was glad he was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no swearing.
I am so sorry.
Totally fucking with you.
Oh, good. I've gotten in trouble for that before. I can be clean.
My mic working.
Oh.
My own mic.
I brought my own mic. I want to know if the chat room can hear me.
Oh, you're hearing from the chat room that they can't hear you?
We switched it out though, so I think
Okay.
okay.
Are the other mics working as we're 15 minutes into this? Anybody?
Thumbs
Okay.
up?
I have no idea.
Hey, out there, can you fucking hear us? Okay, terrific, thank you.
You just swore.
Any kind of response? Would you say, all things considered, Chicago is in fact the perfect American city? I'm from San Francisco, and I will argue it to the death, and people in New York are certainly going to be snobby, but Chicago, as terms of all things considered, an American city, not a sprawling section of suburbs like fucking Los Angeles.
Yeah.
San Francisco has a little bit of Chicago, which is big city, small town feel, but I think Chicago seems like the ultimate big city, small town feel.
It is very American in that it's obviously in the Midwest, it's landlocked, and it's very friendly. For such a big city, it's oddly still very small town feeling or friendly. But it has everything you could possibly want to be pursuing as a young man or getting educated about. It's all there.
Or crime or corruption.
And it has a lot of specific crime and corruption in the political sector, as a matter of fact. We're very known for some of our politicians, Blagojevich and Mayor Daley. And
yeah.
So yeah, I think it is a quintessential American city. I'm very fond of it.
You've said the one word that I use when playing one-word impressions to do Jerry Lewis. Alan Arkin and his son, everything's going to dovetail back to Alan Arkin. I play a game called one-word impressions. And in order to do the impression, you can only use one word, and it can't be a word that the person is famous for saying.
Okay.
So on my own, I came up with lingerie, right?
Okay.
For hopefully you know who that is.
Okay.
But for Jerry Lewis, it was Blagojevich! Yeah, that was the only...
My Jerry Lewis is Hoboken.
Yes, yeah, I love that one too. Yes. Would you care?
Oh wait, and Richard Kynes is the best.
Oh, which one? Oh, right. That,
George.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
George.
You have to do it.
George. That's a Hank Azaria. I think that's the way they rub it into how often he drops George Clooney's name. George. Your first sketch comedy, according to the dossier, took place in your senior year at Hillsdale South High School.
Wow.
Is that correct, sir?
You're really going deep here.
We're not fucking around.
Yes, I did a variety show where we made fun of the teachers, and it was my first time on stage.
And by the way, something inside of you must have been born, because I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
I mocked the high school football coach. He had to walk across the quad, or his head did this for some unknown fucking reason, and I did that too many times, and he came up behind me when I was entertaining the others and got me into a headlock and whispered in my ear, "I don't think it's funny." But there was a liberating thing.
Yes.
Mocking the staff was fantastic.
It was. You were more important in that moment, and their position of power was underneath you in that moment. Yeah, it was great. It was very much getting bitten by the bug. So that was my first like acting experience, and I had the.
Did you ever get the negative feedback from the?
We had one teacher.
Faculty?
We had one teacher, Miss Frichty, who was our English teacher. Who she let us know that it wasn't very friendly and it wasn't very nice. And then someone else told us that we had made her cry. So but I didn't. She was a mean teacher. Like she kind of deserved. She deserved a little ribbing.
That must have upset you when you heard that you
Not
made
upset, but I don't want to.
Mrs. Frick cry.
We didn't want to make anyone cry, but she was kind of a mean lady. Yeah, she was a little psychotic.
Well, but by the way, do you think they went looking when they hired the English teacher for a Ms. Frick?
Frichty.
Frichty?
Miss Frichty.
Worse?
Penny Frichty.
Well, see, Penny softens it.
Yes. Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Penelope Frichty. Now I want to do a little Dickens play.
Yeah. She was literally probably like borderline personality disorder. She really came in some days just
Sammy, worst teacher for you?
Well, I just want to weigh in on this because I always thought this as a child. I also had a lot of really mean teachers.
Yeah.
And I could never figure out if people with personality disorders are drawn to that profession or you do it for X amount of years and it just turns you.
And kids are awful. Let's not forget
Kids
that.
are
Yeah,
awful.
I guess, and at the end of the day, I guess that's what it is. It's like a lot of these people go in with the best of intentions,
Right.
and 15 years in, you can't hear the sound of cracking gum from the back of the room, and you snap.
Well, I can dig that a little bit because as I was on,
Kids are just assholes.
and then there's that.
They are.
You
They
know?
are.
Especially teenagers.
Teenagers are awful.
Pricks.
Yeah,
Awful.
if they're learning to rebel against their parents, imagine what they're going to do to the stranger teacher.
Yeah.
But I know you're talking about, Sammy, being tuned into the sound, because as I was on stage last night during the second show.
In Des Moines.
In Des Moines, also packed, thank you. Someone in the front row snapping gum. And my act is now stories, so there's times when the audience is quiet because they're listening, which took me a while to embrace, but now it's fantastic when there's silence, right? Mm-hmm. But during the silence, with the gum. And it's all I could do not to dive off the stage into that table.
You didn't say anything.
No.
You didn't
Just
address
kept
it.
going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to be a
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah. Because then it becomes about them and not your story.
Yeah. Yeah, but, oh man. Sometimes I just, and then there was a guy, yeah, don't get me started.
Well, let me ask you, what is your, before you did storytelling, what was your policy with hecklers or people thought they were invited to be part of your act?
Well, I, like yourself, studied at the feet of the greats, and I remember Steve Martin's first album, and, when someone yells out heckling, of course, he's playing an arena at that point already, and someone yells out a heckle, and he says, I remember my first beer, and the audience goes nuts. So there's the standard heckler lines,
Just quick.
I don't come down to work and kick the shovel out of your hand when you're doing whatever the fuck you do.
Right.
But I always feel like Dana Carvey, who I kind of started out with in San Francisco, was the best at diffusing it by actually reacting to what exactly was happening in the room and not filing it under heckler comeback line number 6. Mm-hmm. But actually diffusing it with, hey, blue sweater guy, what's your problem? And then everyone's looking at the blue sweater guy like, yeah, what is your problem, fucker? It was really kind of magical. So I tend to keep more in the moment.
Keep it specific
of
to
whatever, yeah.
Okay.
Like the other night in the middle of my act, someone yelled up, Peter Falk, unrelated to nothing. And I said, yeah, absolutely. He's coming. I foolishly put all this in some kind of order. And now the audience is just loving me and hating him.
Good.
And no, but you're right, I should probably stop and just do Peter Falk. And now the audience is loving me and hating him.
No, that's a great way to go.
Well, I mean,
I did stand-up for like 2 years, and the hardest part was when I never knew how to handle those people.
what happened?
I would just get angry and get thrown. I would get thrown.
And when you got thrown, did you
just bailed on my material or couldn't?
and go after them?
No, I don't have that. I'm not like a fighter like that, but I have that feeling. But no, sometimes I would almost be manhandled by these people, like verbally, and I'm like, oh man, come on, please, just please, I went through a moment of weakness, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I retreated a little bit.
A softer, kinder Louis C.K. is
Yes.
really what you're saying.
Yes, we do look alike.
Wait, this isn't Louis C.K.?
No. Am I still welcome?
Oh, God. I put on a nice shirt for this.
He's like half the size of
I put it, yeah, exactly. Let's not forget that part.
And he's wearing color.
Yeah. So 2
Not
years.
that I don't love Louis C.K. I know that sounded really mean.
No, please. We're allowed to take shots at him now.
Yeah.
You know who we love more? Matt Walsh, because he's here.
Yes.
Bingo was
you, Sam.
his name-o. 2 years of stand-up, and you said, fuck this.
Yeah, the other part that's hard about it, obviously, is just being on the road. And if you have a bad show, it's pretty lonely in that hotel room. And I like the idea of ensembles where if the show sucks, you have other people to commiserate with, and you can sort of share the blame. And also, if you have a bad night or you come in feeling off with a group, people can like lift you up and like a team, they can carry you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the very few times I've ever traveled as a group of comedians, which is very, very rare, that I'd be a part of some tour with 5, 6 other acts. That was the first time I ever had this group feeling, and it was after already doing it 15, 20 years. And
Yeah.
that was a miraculous feeling.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
So you drifted pretty early. It wasn't until your senior year in college
Yeah.
that you ventured into classes at Second City.
Correct.
90 minutes driving each way.
Jesus.
Yeah, we're
this
not
is
fucking
so-
around.
Wow.
It's a little annoying,
I feel like
right?
I'm
Now
on
it's
Google
just-
Maps looking
now-
up at the satellite.
Now it's just annoying.
Yes, I discovered a friend of mine went to Second City, and they said, "Oh, and we teach classes in improv." My buddy was like, "You should do this. You're funny." And so my second senior year at Northern Illinois University, I spent.
Your second senior year?
Yes, I did 2 senior years.
Sorry.
Just to make sure
I
I graduated.
want to make sure I was hearing correctly.
2 senior years.
Jason McIntyre calls that super senior.
Super senior
My
year.
super
Your
senior
super
year.
senior year.
That's my super senior year. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nice punch up.
I would drive 90 minutes each way and do 1 3-hour class. And then after I graduated college, I moved in with like 5 buddies in a little comedy ghetto apartment, and we had dreams of being on Saturday Night Live. You know.
When I saw the thing about the comedy ghetto,
Mm-hmm.
of course, my first visual in my mind was it wasn't just 5 comedians living in a ghetto
A
area.
housing project?
It was a ghetto made of only comedians.
Oh, constructed of comedians.
Yeah, it was an actual ghetto comedian. Comedian ghetto.
I believe
Yeah.
ghetto is a densely populated or impoverished area.
Yes.
Specifically. So
Right.
we were a small comedy ghetto.
Yeah.
Made of concrete, not of flesh.
Take it. But that's with a common goal and a common interest. So you've got that camaraderie as well, and you guys are all studying Second City and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the flaw with groups like bands is that people's girlfriends get involved or other people have different visions. Like stand-up, it's just your vision and you can execute and you're not relying on anybody. You're not trying to sell anybody or what's funny.
So always
So
a fucking Yoko.
yes. So I went through that with a group called Department of Works, and then I got involved with Besser and McKay, and we started a group called Ian Roberts, a group called Upright Citizens Brigade. So about the time that started is when I ventured into stand-up for a couple of years. It was like
Well, I know it was Besser and Ian. McKay also?
McKay was in there and Horatio Sands back in the early 90s.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't the 3 of you, it was bigger than that.
No, it was like it had incarnations, but the earliest incarnation that I recall was like me, Ian, Besser, Horatio Sands, McKay, and then a guy, Rick Roman, who passed away.
By McKay, of course, you mean Adam.
Adam McKay, yes,
McKay,
correct.
who is
Director.
the comedic better half of Will Ferrell.
Yes, he is.
One could argue.
Yes.
So that was after you guys had been involved in other groups, Comedy Olympics, or
Yes.
Improv Olympics.
And Improv Olympic coincided with...
that was the Del Close.
Yes, Del Close. So after I did my first sketch group out of college, I kind of started working with McKay and Besser and Ian, Upright Citizens, also doing shows at a place called Improv Olympic, and a little bit of stand-up. And then, long story short, around 94, Upright Citizens became exclusively me, Ian Roberts, Matt Besser, and Amy Poehler. And I had met Amy, touring with Second City because we all got hired. And then in 96, Ian, Amy, and myself quit Second City, had the meeting with the head of Second City where we're like, we think we're going to go to New York and try to become famous or get a TV show. And the man who ran Second City said, it never works out. You guys should really stick around Second City.
It never works out.
It never works out.
It always works out. I mean,
his idea was to keep us there so we could go through their farm team and get on main stage and do it that way.
yeah.
And so we left in 96, and in 98 we got a show on Comedy Central.
How'd
Right.
that show happen, by the way?
The show on Comedy Central?
Yeah.
It seems like you made it happen, Sam.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I know. Were you in the room? I feel like I'm forgetting you in the story.
No.
If I forget Sam Levine's involvement, I'm just covering myself. Thank you, Sam Levine. I guess the show happened. None of this is boring?
It's all in the dossier.
All right, all
That's what I
right.
want to talk about.
All right, fine.
Can't all be about Judy Morgan.
Jesus. Judy Morgan, one of my teachers,
Yes.
who taught or was on main stage with John Belushi.
Right.
And every time when John Belushi was a big star and she was teaching us at the same time, he would come through Chicago and call her drunk, and she would tell us what John was up to, and it was kind of like being close
Yeah.
to fame. It was
To a
very
Beatle.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was a very sweet woman who is now in Texas doing something. I don't know. But the way we got our TV show, got to New York in '96, literally rented a van and drove out all our props like Kids with a Dream, and hit the ground running with 3 shows, and then started an improv show called ASCAT in New York, and performed every night of the week in New York for about a year. And then we got a guy named Kent Alterman from Comedy Central noticed us, gave us our first comedy gig, which was, no, our first comedy gig was an internet show in 1996, maybe, 97.
That's before the internet, sir.
No, 1996, it was up. It was Emergency Broadcast Hour, and it was a comedy show sponsored by Microsoft.
Wow.
1996. So that was my first introduction to the internet. So we were just paid to surf the internet to understand what this thing was. And we just went to all the horrible, like I went to all these like weird freak sites where people had stomachs outside of their body and
Sure.
things like that. And the funniest thing about that is they had all this, because this obviously is fairly seamless, they promised us that the show in '96 would be like this. And then the big unveiling of what we were going to be doing is they brought us downstairs with the tech guys that working on, and they literally played like a 15-second, like basically at the beginning of a movie, 10, 9, 8, you know, that clock that
Yeah.
spins in reverse. And then it went, there was a fake explosion, then it went Emergency Broadcast Network, and we all looked at each other. We are so fucked. Like because we were writing video bits, and we were, because the way they told us the internet can be anything, but the technology just couldn't handle our ideas.
Right.
And it was people like Leo Allen was in the room with us, and Todd Barry, and John Benjamin. Like all these guys were writing early internet comedy show stuff, but nothing we wrote was ever executed. It just became like find a funny still and put a caption on it, and then it was on a web page that you had to click through. And but
No
that was
infrastructure.
nothing. Couldn't do anything. Like no live streaming, nothing. But
Before the move to New York, had you guys planted your official flag, and Upright UCB was thriving in Chicago?
yeah, we didn't have a
First?
home. We didn't have a. Yeah, we'd been up since like early '90, '91.
Right.
And would do like traveling shows at this theater or Improv Olympic or other places. A place called.
So you
Kill the
were a
Poets.
group without
Yes,
a theater.
without a home.
Right.
And then yeah,
And then the idea was to go to New York and eventually get a home.
because we had done 1 or 2 showcases in LA and New York.
Right.
And what the manager who was representing sometimes says, you got to stick around somewhere. So we chose New York versus LA because you can cultivate an audience.
Right.
So we moved to New York in '96, and then we got the internet gig, and then we got we had a Tompkins Square comedy special. So it was like 4 stand-ups, and then this weird sketch group called UCB doing interstitials, and those were fairly terrible.
Do you remember who the stand-ups were at the time?
Oh, that's a great question. I think Dana Gould was around because there was a group called the Burt Furschners at the time, who was also a sketch group. Very nice guys, funny. And long story short, they did a just straight up musical number called The Jelly Truck or something.
Sure.
And the reason I remember, because Dana Gould, it's very campy and very Broadway. And after they were done, Dana Gould walked in the green room and said to them, so where did you guys all meet? Gay camp? It was so hard, like so hard, and we were just like, oh God. Because it wasn't true comedy, it was sort of a Broadway number.
It was too sincere.
It was sincere, yes. Yes, it was. So that's
As was Dana
As was Dana.
when he asked his question.
Yes, he did.
It wasn't just being biting.
I don't think he was asking a question. I don't think he
No.
wanted the answer to that.
It was rhetorical.
It was rhetorical.
Let's be certain. I know Dana well.
Yes.
As do fans of this show and his own. Before we talk a little bit more about the entrance of Spunky Chick Polar, I want to offer our audience an opportunity. You're on the Twitter yourself.
Yes.
You've been on a little while, enjoying it.
Yes.
The oldest of your children is how old?
5.
So if they're on Twitter by, say, 8, are you going to be okay with that?
Do you think they will? I don't think so.
Okay, so
I don't want them on
have you,
Twitter.
Have you and the missus discussed this?
No, but I would guess they could, freshman year, I guess I would let them open a Twitter account. They don't need to be on Twitter. until
Freshman year in college.
No, freshman high school.
Would you?
I would go high school.
Okay.
Is that too strict? I don't know.
So they're like 15.
Yeah, you're 13, I think, when you're a freshman in high school.
Look, I hate to
14.
remind everyone of this, but December 21st, 2012 is fast approaching. So,
According to the Mayan calendar.
Oh, jeepers.
whatever we're talking about, let's
Doesn't
be
matter.
honest, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What if we're just enslaved by Mayans and the world doesn't end?
Same difference.
Okay, you're right.
You know.
This one comes to you.
Does that mean your show will never air?
That is correct.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I've been counting on it. I'm spending those paychecks.
That's the real tragedy of the apocalypse.
That is a show business question, and a show business concern. The world's coming to an end. My show will never see the light of day.
Nope.
Jamie can't wait. All right. At Blogger Freud, Bloggenfruid. It's a little smaller in this. We can't do anything about it. Bloggenfruid. Okay, this is a tweet 5. Cue Dave Keckner.
T5, T5, T5 forever now.
Love him so very much. Is there an otter? There's no more odd individual.
Keckner? No. He's full on Keckner, 24 hours, yeah.
So I described these a little bit beforehand. It's Coke or Pepsi, this or that, no correct answer. Specifically designed for you, in this case by Bloggenfruid. New York or L.A.?
L.A.
Tomato juice or V8?
V8.
Analog sound or digital?
Analog.
Batman or Superman?
Batman.
PS3 or Xbox?
Xbox.
All correct.
Really?
That's astonishing.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you.
You did well. Would you say those were designed with your interest in mind?
I don't, no.
No, I don't think so.
No, none of that is my life.
I think Bloggenfruid broke the rules and said, I'm going to ask questions that I like. Things that I...
That's all right.
There's nothing wrong with that?
Kind of licensing.
Yeah.
Well, that can't be right. You said you enjoyed Batman more than Superman. And
That one is true.
And every time you and I talk, you always start our conversation with, so Sam, Batman's better than Superman, right? I'm like, Matt, why? Every time do our conversations have to be about this?
All right, throw up a couple of more, Jamal, if you can find them, because I'm about to go to the next one. We had so much fun with that. This next tweet, 5.
You roll Keckner again?
T5, T5,
Usually.
T5
At
forever now.
Wovenstrap, at Wovenstrap,
Don't know.
from the Twitterverse, asks you this tweet 5, sir. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Lovey Smith or Mike Ditka?
Smith.
Salzburg or Vienna?
Salzburg.
I just love the enthusiasm.
I lived there for a year.
This is a New York grocery store. Greisted,
Gristides?
or Ralph's?
Ralph's.
Carrie or the Omen?
Carrie.
Nice. Love Boat or Fantasy Island?
Love Boat.
Love Boat?
Love Boat.
Yeah.
Did you
Did you ever do Love Boat?
No, sir.
No, you're too young, huh?
I just missed it by
Did
that
you? I'm asking. I don't know.
Yeah, I missed it by that.
Okay.
What was your first sitcom? Was it the
Who's the Boss?
Who's the Boss?
Yeah, played Sam's boss at a submarine shop.
Was Love Boat on the air when Who's the Boss was on
Maybe
the
it
air?
was.
Never.
Maybe it was. Maybe I wasn't asked to do
Yeah,
drama.
I think
I
Love
wasn't
Boat
asked to
hung
do
on
drama.
longer than we think.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
Did you say Ralph's over Gristides because
Yes.
the Ralphs never leaked
Raw sewage into the theater.
into your theater?
Our theater in New York is beneath the
Oh,
Gristides.
Gristides, that's right.
And there have been occasions where we have garbage bags taped over pipes that leak, and one time a nasty pipe carrying I don't know what into the New York sewers just burst into the middle of the show, and it was awful. It was awful.
How long before the audience left? Instantly? Did they hang in there a little bit?
It might have hung. It might have broken, and then we between shows or something. And I think it happened on stage. I think that show was done, and then they mopped it up and taped it up, and the show went on at 10 o'clock.
No.
Yeah.
The smell hadn't lingered because there's so great.
Air freshener, Sam.
There's such great ventilation down there, anyway. To begin with.
It never smells good anyways, so it wasn't much of an alteration.
Didn't Sam take us there our very first time? Yeah.
And that's
And
where
the
I
Fetterman.
met, yeah, I met Wayne Fetterman for the
That's
first
right.
time.
Yeah, the lovely Fetterman.
Yeah, dingy little theater.
It's fantastic.
It is. It's
Yeah.
great.
I ended up doing an ASCAT there, and then I've done an
Have you?
ASCAT out here as well.
I wasn't. Was I here? I don't think I was
I
here.
don't think
when
you were
did.
allowed.
Oh, I've had
According
a
to
falling out.
my writer
Oh, you asked for me not to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and a writer backstage. I don't actually think we've met yet, now that I think. I didn't even know to block you. How was the ASCAT like the way that George Lucas took from all these beliefs and made Yoda, or was the ASCAT existing already and you just gave it a name? as a fun, incredibly fun thing to do.
ASSCAT is based loosely on an improv form in Chicago that was started called the Armando Diaz Experiment in Hootenanny. And basically,
Great name.
the premise was a monologist would tell stories, and it was always this guy Armando, and then the actors in the show would listen to those stories and then use that as information to improvise scenes from. Then we took that and turned it into our own form, which is much looser and
also bringing in different Armandos each time.
we brought in different Armandos, and also in that form, the Armando gentleman was sort of the director. He would edit, and he would come out when he wanted to. In this form, UCB takes control of the show, and we tell them to sit back, and we bring them out when we need them, and
Right.
and it's a little faster. That show is very slow and contemplative, and our show is more about fast, funny.
You improved upon.
I think so. It was an evolution.
It
was an evolution that would indefinitely it was going to happen.
Right.
Definitely going to happen.
As much as I like the name, any name with the word hootenanny in it.
Yes. And ASSCAT is a mock name for the show, which came from.
How many S's? 4 or 5?
It's a loose acronym for, I think, the Automated Sprinkler Siamese Connection Alternative Something Theater.
Okay.
So there's probably at least 3, maybe 4 S's.
Mm-hmm.
4.
And 4 S's. And the term ASSCAT basically came from a show that some of the guys had done, and the scene they all remembered was just 2 guys on the side of a stage completely alienating the audience, just going, ASSCAT, and then they were volleying the word ASSCAT. Like, basically meant a terrible show. It became known as vernacular for us as terrible show. Like bombing it or eating it at Luna.
Sure.
That was basically what ASSCAT meant, and it basically meant a fuck around show. So
why did you wave at me when you went, like, eating it at Luna?
Because I feel like you would know that show. Eating it at Luna. Did you ever do that?
No.
Okay. Back in the day in New
I
York.
thought you were suggesting I had ate it at Luna.
No, the name of the show at Luna was called Eating It.
Right.
So.
Sammy, you know that.
Damn straight I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did Eating at Luna a few times.
I ate at Luna every night.
Hello. Is the
What?
caller there?
What?
Excuse me?
I think we're talking about something else.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the Comedy Central version of UCB, because I think that's how, as a Californian, I first found out about it, was on the television.
Okay.
I hadn't been to Chicago, nor had seen any shows in New York, so for my introduction was actually on TV.
Yeah.
So you guys, as founders, were also sort of the executive producers and showrunners of the television thing.
Correct.
That was your first experience into what they might call real show business.
Correct.
If I may.
Well, we did an internet show.
I repeat.
We did a pretty hot internet comedy show.
You're on an internet show, so please,
Yeah.
please, sir, don't.
This
think,
is not real show business?
Don't think I need to be schooled.
Okay.
Yeah, it's they came up with a name for it now. New media.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is a new media.
And real show business is simply traditional media.
Okay.
I love that. I had to come to new media to find out that real show business was called traditional media. Like, old traditional nonsense
Not
is
interesting.
no longer vital.
More people watching.
Yeah. Although the bite that new media has taken out of traditional media
I know.
is exponentially devastating over the last several years. I have a friend who's got to launch a brand new show on TV, right? And he was telling me what the numbers were, and I thought, you're done, right? After 2 episodes, you've got to be done. He said, no, they already picked the back 9.
Really?
What are you talking about? These numbers are great. And this was only 3 years ago. You couldn't get past with that number.
Wow.
3 years. And they're just holding on to dust. It's unbelievable.
Like-
And I think the big thing is, what they predicted would happen is happening, which is that there's a whole generation raised on, they don't even understand time slots. They don't even know what time slot means.
Yeah.
It's DVR, it's watching it on Hulu, it's however the fuck they want to catch it. They
Yeah.
don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I find myself traveling now, and if I really want to see an episode and they don't have their own dedicated site, and I have to spend 99 cents to get the
Just
damn
buy it.
episode off iTunes, I'll just fucking do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 99 fucking cents. Can't stand
Yeah.
between me and a half hour of enjoyment.
Yeah.
I will not have it.
Yeah.
Don't tell Jamie. All right, so 3 seasons.
Yes. 3.
You're feeling the freedom, but still you're under the guise of a network. And at the time, Comedy Central had not, I don't know that they had, was this the same time as Chappelle? No, before Chappelle.
Pre-Chappelle.
Pre-Chappelle.
Right when South Park was breaking, we were ushered into Comedy Central.
Right, okay. So they're starting to feel their
Yes.
strength and power.
Yes.
How much freedom of fun are you guys given as showrunners?
You know, I was just thinking, interestingly, I don't think they even had like a true legal department for,
Sure.
for vetting scripts. That's how new Comedy Central was.
Wow.
And the pushback we got, I remember one, I wish I would have saved these memos. Like back then they were faxed to us, by the way.
Sure.
One was we had a sketch where we sang the word nutsack over and over and over.
Sure you did.
And we had to negotiate to get, we could say 3, because that wasn't offensive, but 8 was offensive.
That's beautiful.
So that was literally broken out in the text of this
Also
fax.
visually, I'm going to say those numbers are correct as well.
3 is funny, yes,
Yeah.
3 is the magic.
3 nutsacks.
We might have got 4 though. I think we actually went beyond the 3s.
Right. Because 8 is just, ugh,
8 is offensive.
disgusting.
Yes, because then you start to conjure the image
Yeah.
and not just hear the syllables.
You've said it too many times. It's not turning into Spanish. It's actually reminding me of
Yeah,
the visual.
yeah. And then the other one was we did a,
Python influenced at this point?
yeah, definitely Python. Kids in the Hall was one of my favorite sketch groups.
Girl Drink Drunk? One of her favorite sketches.
Oh,
from,
right,
Kids in the
yeah,
Hall.
right. And then who's the other group? Oh, Second City TV.
Sure.
Big influence for me, and like.
I don't know
All
if
my
I've ever
crushes
heard-
are on SCTV. Martin Short, Harold Ramis.
Oh yeah.
First person I've ever heard call it Second City TV.
SCTV, yes.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, the
It's
man
because-
spent some time in second.
I know,
Yeah.
but you never hear it referenced like that, so you know it's coming from a different
Did
source.
it feel like traditional media?
That felt like the new media of its
Second
day.
SCTV felt like new media. It did.
Right?
It did.
Oh,
It did.
it's time.
It did.
Yeah.
I agree.
At what point are you starting to feel like the Go West young man? All your friends are moving. What happens? Because, you know, your first taste of being a showrunner. So the question is, am I a showrunner now? Am I a executive producer guy?
Yeah.
Am I a writer, performer? I got to go out to LA. Is that the overall?
I asked myself, how big of a deal am I
Uh-huh.
every day?
And the only way you're going to get that answer is in Los Angeles.
Is to go west.
You're not going to hear it in New York.
Yeah. No, in truth, I did the Daily Show for a year and a half after UCB.
2001, 2002.
Very good.
Just saying.
During 9/11, first correspondent to fly after 9/11. This guy,
Uh-huh.
pretty brave soldier. And then
Wow.
they literally offered it, and nobody wanted to fly. And I said I would go.
Yeah.
I was, you know. And then by that point, I wasn't going to do SNL. I think I was too old at that point. And I didn't want to write for Letterman or Conan, so there was only opportunities. The only opportunities were in LA.
Yeah.
So that's when I moved to LA.
And how, I mean, you'd already had trips out and you knew he had friends out here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so bizarre, was it?
No, and I actually after the Daily Show, I did like 2 years where I booked a bunch of commercials and would just do 7 auditions
Right.
in like 2 hours and then smoke a lot of pot. I had 2 years of that,
Right.
and then I quit that and moved to LA.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because it was so easy and it was not very challenging.
The smoking the pot?
Yeah, it's just like you could, if you lived on the Warner lot, you could walk out and hit 5 auditions. Where I lived, there was like 10 casting agencies, so you could knock out 10 auditions in 2 hours. It was incredible.
And so they'd line up around the block to say no. Is what you're saying.
But commercials are the easy. If for some reason you're in vogue, you work a lot. For no other reason than like, oh, that's the guy. Like literally,
Right.
5 seconds into the room, he looks pretty average. That's the guy. And for some reason, when I hit the commercial world,
You look
it
like
worked.
America?
I did, or something, or I was non-offensive, or I looked like a lot of other people, perhaps.
You did not look too Jewish.
I probably didn't look too Jewish.
Yeah, trust
yeah.
me, that was a problem for some of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay away from the Campbell soup, you're a Jew.
I want to hear that story.
Because Jews don't like soup. When have you ever seen a Jew say, I'll have the soup? It's never happened.
You love soup.
Exactly.
They took soup into the desert, matzah and soup, right?
Well, and a comb.
And a comb.
You have one of my favorite laughs, and I'm wondering, how did you ever get started in improv? Because did you break all the fucking time?
I do. I have a terrible habit. Used to be really bad, and I've slowly gotten better. But I'm quite ticklish on stage. I don't
Right.
know why. I really am. Yeah, it's a problem.
When it's live and it's happening, and it's not Lauren Michaels saying we don't laugh.
Yeah.
It's cool because as long as if it's organic, the audience feels it, and it's just as exciting for them.
Yes.
It's recreating those laugh moments, of course. That's not a good idea.
Yes, like Harvey Korman, perhaps.
As it were.
Yeah.
Yes, Harvey did it a time or six. This question comes to you, T5 comes to you from the Twitter.
T5.
I am Von
T5 forever
I know
now.
this guy. This is the first one I know.
Okay, excellent. Ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure he's gonna try to fuck you up if you know him. At Dick Walsh or Rush Limbaugh?
Dick Walsh.
Monologues or improviser?
Improviser.
Fireman Pete or Werner Herzog?
Herzog.
Phillips or Armstrong?
Phillips.
Emmys or ESPYs?
Emmys.
Ah. Did you ever write for the ESPYs? Did you ever help punch up anything for?
No.
the ESPYs?
Riggle hosted last year.
Right.
We got to do a dumb roll-in video about our fantasy league.
Oh, how was that?
It was good because he unfortunately won our fantasy league last year.
Why, unfortunately?
Because he literally cares about it and pokes you with it every time you see him. Like he literally was proud of his championship, so they.
Yeah, that's shocking to me.
Yeah, exactly. So they interviewed us and we exaggerated his celebration about the championship.
His prowess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you do the podcast for the Bears. You had guys created, you and a couple of friends.
Yes.
Zach Woods, one of them.
Well,
No.
he appears on it.
Appears on it.
It's me and a guy named Scott Armstrong,
Mm-hmm.
who's a screenwriter, RJ Vaneco, a Chicago guy, and a guy named Joe Nunez, who's like a character actor. We host it, and we bring in Horatio Sands and Kevin Dorff, a lot of people.
Right.
It's fun.
It must be fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
Very lazy, much less polished than this show.
Stop saying that.
Really? I'm more impressed with your support team and
Well,
execution.
You've never seen one of these.
Oh, okay.
Prisoners of war.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, they never leave the building.
No, they're not allowed. We
Oh,
have
okay.
an armed guard.
So much so that you can say it in front of them.
Wow.
I know.
Culver City's dark. a lot of negative stuff happening.
We hadn't told the audience where we were before, so thanks.
Oh,
I'm
no.
Totally kidding. Fuck with
Now you get stalkers?
Oh, we've had a few on occasion. No reason to mention any names. So now that it's been so many years of success for UCB on both coasts, how does Chicago stack up? You know, it's a legitimate question because for many of us who came up from the stand-up world, you would hear about Second City, you would hear about live improv, and the home and the hub was Chicago. You guys were the first that sort of planted and syndicated, if I may, New York and LA.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Groundlings in Los Angeles, which was, I assume, quite the institution by the time you guys got to town.
Yes.
And there must have been something like it in New York, or no?
Nothing in New York, surprisingly. Nothing that had been up and running.
So that only validates the theory even more so, that it really was Chicago's mainstay. You know, Second City, Toronto was another giant one, but SNL over the years fed off that, but also took from the Groundlings and Phil Hartman and Lovitz.
Yep.
So now UCB is this amazing portal
Yes.
for left and right stars to SNL and elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's got to feel fantastic.
Yes, it is. It's great because we were fortunate to move to New York and nobody was doing Chicago long form, if you will. So we filled a void instantly and connected with this great audience that followed us once we got a theater. And then LA, I think, thrived because, as you know, there's a lot of really talented people in LA, and on any given night you can get whoever, Sarah Silverman or Dana Gould, say, hey, you want to come by and do my dumb show? And they're like, yeah, actually, I'm not doing anything. So once UCB was in LA, you got high-level, funny people coming in to sit in to do improv shows or do little stand-up shows. So
Right. Even
we
though
lucked into
Ed
that.
Helms
Yeah, Helms will come by or whoever, yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, he and Seth.
Seth Morris, that's right.
we
Yeah, they
saw
do a
them
puppet show.
we
Oh, you saw that?
I've seen it a few times.
Yeah, that's what's amazing to me is like we just, New York not so much, but in LA you could just roll in and, I don't know, Donald Glover, who's a big rapper now, is doing a show with the cast of Community, and you'll walk into the theater and there's all these well-known television celebrities.
And for those around the country, if not world, listening or watching, who haven't had a chance yet to see the theater, I was startled after hearing the legend, and then walking into the theater the first time in New York, not so much New York, but LA, which holds about 17 people.
100 legally.
15 of which
100 legally.
15 of which are on stage with you.
99 legally.
Okay.
If the Board of Building Inspectors is listening.
Yeah. It is fantastically intimate.
Yes.
To be honest with
It
you.
is.
Yeah. The few times I've been on those boards, to have the audience. Also, it's great for an aging talent such as myself to actually say something and get laughs from 19-year-olds.
Kevin,
And
no.
be relevant. No? Don't be honest?
No.
You can still relate to the kids.
Well, I just talk about the usual suspects. That's all I do. I do 20 minutes on Stephen Baldwin being a dick, and that's why they love me. And now Benicio del Toro can fart on command. Otherwise,
Okay.
I have nothing to say to them.
Really?
No. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, and it plays for Jeff Garlin and a lot of guys from my generation or slightly after, to have a touchstone.
Yeah.
Because the audience, almost every time I'm there as a patron, which is often, or a performer, which is not as often.
Well, what's great about it, I do a show once a week at the theater, and you're right, the average age is probably 22 or something, and I'm 48, so I have the same two-decade gap between the people. And so we spend the first 20 minutes just talking. No one cares if it's funny yet.
Right.
And we always do these marketing questions and things like that. And it's fascinating. Like one night we found a guy, 19-year-old kid, had never heard of Bruce Springsteen. Never heard of Bruce Springsteen. Legitimately, not pulling our leg, did not know who Bruce Springsteen was.
And from the United States of America.
From the United States of America. And that just blew our mind. Like, how is that possible? But it is possible because you can like someone now and just follow their YouTube page, and you can find enough things about that person you never are forced to listen to.
I was just thinking that about Billy Joel, not just a couple days ago. Jamie, wasn't a song on the radio Billy Joel's, and you said, you know what, that's the song that I could go the rest of my life and not hear again.
It was Piano Man.
And it's Piano
Yeah.
Man, one of the most famous, right?
Yeah.
I've exhausted
But I felt the
myself
same
with
way.
It's like I could never hear this song ever again, and I'd be okay with it.
It was on
Yeah.
again in the elevator at the hotel last night, and I thought the same
Oh my
thought,
God.
which is, here's one of the absolute most relevant singer-songwriters
Yeah.
for 20 years easily, and there could be someone in your audience.
Who doesn't know who
19.
Billy Joel is?
No idea.
I know, that's what you find out. You find out where the edge is, like what they know about that you don't know about and what we know about that they don't know about.
Yeah.
We always play a game, Stump the Old Men, where we'll ask the audience to give us a piece of information or a quote from a song or a name of a person that 50% of the room has to know that we don't know. And if they succeed at that, so it can't be like the name of my dog, for example, because only one person would know that.
So
It
like
has to-
lyrics from an indie rock band that you
Yes,
guys
or
are.
like a Nickelodeon star or something
Sure.
like that. That stumps us a lot because 50% of that audience knows that Nickelodeon star, but we don't.
The actor who played the role Skeech.
Oh,
Screech.
Screech.
Just
Yes.
let it go, Kevin.
Diamond.
Well,
Jesus.
I'm trying to
Justin Diamond, right?
I'm trying
Dustin
to,
Diamond.
Dustin?
So close.
See?
Dustin Diamond.
Dustin
See?
Diamond, sorry. Okay.
we just became the two guys in the balcony.
At the Muppets?
Statler and Waldorf.
Stellar and Waldorf.
I'm like in trivia mode right now, so don't even like remotely say anything. I'm like, I have to know all these things.
If it makes you feel any better, by the way, Billy Joel hates Piano Man as well.
Yeah.
He does.
It's his least favorite
Also,
song.
the other song which I used to love is Hotel California. If I hear that one more time, it's like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And I used to love
Yeah,
it.
I used to love that song too.
But it's like, it's too much. It's too much.
You know, it's interesting. It seems like radio is the last like mass delivery system left. Because TV, you just DVR. You don't have to watch anything. You just record it. But in your car, well, I guess you can get serious. But you know what I mean? Like, as young people.
By the way, not just Sirius, but now they all come with plugs for your iPod as well.
Yes, of course, that too. But
And
I mean,
Pandora.
I
And
know
I
exactly
didn't
what
know
you
it. You're
mean.
right,
I was
so-
just thinking about this
but
today.
like there were 4 networks. Four networks when we grew up, so we were forced to watch the same stuff. Like the whole country was watching the same stuff, and I feel like radio is the last bastion where we're kind of forced to listen to the
Yeah.
same stuff.
Yeah, if
If
you
you
rent a
think about
car or something, there's
Yes.
oftentimes you're in a car
the
that just
format
has
of
a
radio hasn't changed in decades of how it works and how each market has its own stations and there's ad time and this, that, and the other, and you still get it the same way you would have gotten it 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Even when they try to come through all the towns with like a Jack FM,
Yes.
that syndicated thing,
Which is called like.
Larry FM in
Yes,
Philadelphia.
exactly. I was just in Pontiac and it was Edward or something.
Sure.
Yes.
Kenny
Yes.
FM.
Yeah.
Why not?
Kenny FM would be like punk and rockabilly.
Punk and rockabilly. Yeah. What the fuck's
No,
wrong
did
with
I make that up? You don't even like that. I made that up. See, I knew.
Hardcore gangster rap.
Let's talk about your life as a director in the motion picture business, please. You had done directing of episodes of the television programs.
Mm-hmm.
You developed a script, screenplay, and then decided to have it mostly improvised.
Correct.
61 scenes, I believe.
65. Talk to your researcher. Get these researchers on it.
Fuck. So you guys boil it down to 65 scenes.
Yes.
And so it's loosely based on a friend of yours who could have gotten into more trouble than he did with the.
Did you do this work, or
the
your
selling of
helpers
marijuana.
did this?
One of the outside producers out there, J-Mac, who you
Well
met,
done.
does the full dossier, sends me the whole
And
thing.
you whittle it down.
I read through it and decide
What's interesting
what
to
we
you.
should talk about.
Okay.
And I found that interesting that it's loosely based on a friend who sold pot for a little while.
Correct.
And things could have gone horribly, horribly wrong had he not.
Yeah, it's loosely based on friend X who was in Chicago, and he had started dealing weed and was quite successful. And at one point was just dealing it on Fridays. He would have all his clients come in, deal it out of the house, and then he was done for 6 days of the week. And I think in his mind, he was sort of justifying himself as like, I'm not really a dealer, I'm like a part-time dealer. But it's a dangerous business to continually do, because the more you stay in it, the more likely you are to be arrested, at least back in Chicago in 1990, whatever. So.
And his chances being in Chicago of bribing some sort of official.
Well, very good, actually. That's how the city works, yes. That would have helped.
Right.
But he fortunately got into the entertainment business and is quite successful.
Is to this day.
Is to this
That's
day
why
quite
his
successful.
name remains X.
His name remains X.
High Road is the name of the motion picture, as opposed to the lofty plateau of the pretentious. High Road, the motion picture. So you decide you want to improvise. You've seen Spinal Tap. You've seen what some of these guys are doing, and you're thinking, I've been working with great improvisers on stage forever. Let's do this our own damn selves.
Mm-hmm.
You gather some peeps and some friends, but you come about the financing in an interesting way, I found. You had a manager who said, let me hook you up with Northern Lights.
Yes, a group from the moneyed state of North Dakota.
I'll say.
Yeah, a lot of money floating around North Dakota. And
but they were like-minded somehow.
They were. They had somehow heard of UCB, and they liked a lot of the people that I was talking about putting in the movie. So they had pretty good comedy taste as far as I'm concerned. They knew the sensibility, and they enjoyed that. So I was very fortunate to sell an idea that wasn't really scripted. It was just 60, 65 scenes.
Right.
And they liked the sensibility in the community that I was tapping into, basically. Yeah. Small budget, not a lot of money. But yeah, I was very fortunate.
And how many days were you able to shoot?
We shot 12 days, shot all those 65 scenes in 40 some odd locations. And then true indie. And then we did like 3 days of extra shooting with 1 day in Oakland for like exteriors and things like that. So 15 days total, about $300,000 for the whole thing.
And how long were you allowed to edit this thing? Because that's the
Took a
final
long time.
rewrite, and when it's improvised, you must have 10 hours for every 10 minutes that you use.
Yeah, I think it took about 7 months to make it a very fun, hopefully what I think is a very funny movie. But the guy who was my editor was a documentary guy. So he treated we still had our storyline, which was the spine of it, but there were ancillary stories that we discovered and I wanted to keep if possible. So we sifted through it like a documentary for a couple months. And then our first string at it was like 8 hours long. If we could keep every joke.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
And what favors are you calling in terms of potentially marketable names to be in it?
A man named Rob Riggle,
Hello.
a boy named Zach Woods,
Hello.
a gentleman named Ed Helms,
All right.
Andy Daly,
Joe
Joe Latrulio,
Love Joe.
Lizzie Kaplan,
Right.
A young hot up-and-comer kid named Dylan O'Brien.
The Dylan O'Brien.
The Dylan O'Brien, who's on Teen Wolf, a very hot show with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then a guy named James Pumphrey, who's a personal favorite of mine, total slacker, indie look.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife, my lovely wife, plays a prostitute in the movie.
That's got to be a great moment for you to be editing that.
Honey, do you want to be the prostitute? Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Her correct response would have been, do I want to be?
You have to be.
You don't think I've been
No.
in your life? I'm saying if she wanted to go for the funny.
Yes.
7 months editing you're talking about. To
Yeah.
make it cohesive and make it 80-something minutes.
Yes, exactly. 84, 86 minutes. That's right. It took a long time.
And while you're editing, you're thinking festival circuit and then a little company Millennium.
Yeah, that's right. They saw a screening, and they, made a terrible offer, and we took it. And now it lives on iTunes, and you can find it in Target, and
Right.
I'll get to make another one hopefully.
Right. Well, speaking of which, what's happening with Mr. Christmas?
Oh my
You
God!
son of a bitch. That came and went.
Oh my God!
Let it go?
Who did this? Are you in my house? So good. All right.
It's an original
I will honor
screenplay.
the research. I wrote a screenplay with a friend of mine, Owen Burke, and it's basically a Christmas Carol, but it's the concept is you have the first ghost telling the guy, "Oh, you're dying tomorrow," and then you don't need to see any of the other ghosts. That's the premise, and it has yet to be funded or in production, but that's out there, and that would be my next. Or my other ideas. I worked on a psych floor for 3 years right out of college. I was a psych major.
Right.
And it was my experiences working on a psych floor, believing I was going to be a counselor and help people and be a psychologist eventually, and then realizing, oh no, I don't want that kind of, I'll do comedy.
Too much responsibility.
Too much responsibility. And I also, you did comedy right away. You knew right
Yes.
away. But I think a lot of people who end up doing what we do, they spend those years out of college chasing what they think they're supposed to chase.
Yeah. Well, that's why I went to college, because I thought I was supposed to go to college.
Oh, right.
But I lasted
You didn't finish
just a couple semesters.
Yeah.
I mean, my friends call it dropping out. I consider it graduating.
Yeah, you don't need college. I
on to
agree.
life.
Yeah. So that's the other one. That's about a psych ward, basically, an adolescent psych ward where I dealt with eating disorders and suicidal teens.
That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, it isn't funny yet, but I think it can be.
It certainly made you laugh.
It's loaded with real moments, and then there is a lot of comedy that happens outside of the psych ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a
I mean,
personal story.
Cuckoo's Nest was wildly haunting, and
Yes.
then at times silly and funny.
Supremely funny. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully.
More haunting than
Yeah,
funny.
but I think that the treatment I observed was better. Like the treatment they were getting in the 50s, which I think is when Cuckoo's Nest took place. Maybe early Kesey wrote it, right?
Yeah.
Bad treatment. Like they had not figured out how the human mind works. And I think when I came around, much more humane treatment of the patients.
Yeah.
So I don't think
Electric shock, not so much.
no electric shock.
Yeah.
Some new drugs being tried out at the time,
Right.
and tough, some tough stuff. But hopefully funny. Hopefully.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I think eventually it will be. Yeah.
I'm going to say the correct answer is yes, funny.
Yes, funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, funny.
Jamie? Oh, Wovenstrap?
We did him.
We did Wovenstrap? We did Wovenstrap, yeah.
I don't have any more T5s.
I don't remember saying the name. Oh.
I have actual questions, but I don't have any more T5s.
Well, then let's talk about my new favorite show, which I was so crushed. They wanted me to go in. They added somebody to Veep, and
A character?
They wanted me to go in and meet with your guy,
Armando.
Yeah, and
You can't do it.
I couldn't because of the timing, and I just loved the show to death. I would carry a spear in a heartbeat, but it was literally the exact week that I have to be in New York for this stupid book of mine.
You should take the meeting anyways, because if we get a third season, he'll think of you.
Yeah, well, you're 100% correct. Yeah,
I don't need to teach you about show business.
Well, you do,
Okay.
but I will counter simply by saying I suggested that, and they said we want to see people who can actually do the part.
Oh.
Because I wasn't comfortable saying don't tell them I'm not available until after I meet.
Okay.
Tell them I'd love to
Meet.
sit down with him and tell him what a fan I am if there's ever something I can do. And they said he's kind of pressed for the people who can
Yeah,
actually be
it's
on
hectic.
the show.
This year's hectic, yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
It has such a tremendous vibe, and we had Tony Hale here, who's crazy funny and
Yeah.
still inexplicably not Jewish. Poor guy, he just gets it all the time, and he's
Does he really?
well. Look at him.
He has, yeah.
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah,
I said it to his face.
yeah.
The whole cast, I mean, every square inch of it, and also just when you thought we'd seen Julia be funny 6 times already, let alone Seinfeld. The reason she won the Emmy is not a popularity contest. She's a revelation as the vice president. It's an unbelievably funny character.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And then the whole cast is just nuts.
Yeah.
So walk me through, if not the rest of us, the writer, British?
British.
Because he was the writer of Alan Partridge, which I can't get enough of.
That's one of my favorite shows, yeah. Yeah.
By a million miles.
So funny.
Yeah.
Such a great character.
And they're bringing back a version of it, I heard.
Yes.
They're attempting to reinvent a part of it.
Yes.
Or like, let's look back at his life, it's 20 years later,
Yes.
it's 15 years later. In The Loop also, he was nominated for an Oscar for writing that.
Yes, that's right.
So you hear about this project, you go in and meet, and now you get through the process till you're going to go, you and Julia, during the auditioning, whatever it is.
The script came out, and then they told me that this is the guy that did Alan Partridge. I'm like, oh my God, please, I'd love to go in. And then first audition was just Armando. Encouraged you to, first audition just a camera and a casting agent. She encouraged us to improvise, which helped me. Second,
Emmy Award-winning casting director Allison Jones.
Allison Jones, lovely woman. She actually helped me get the parts because when I act to script, I'm not as good. But if I'm encouraged to like explore it, don't leave it totally, I'm much better. So she said, you know what you should do? Just put it down, kind of hit it, but you know, bring what you're good at.
Don't do what Sam Levine just did an hour ago, is what she said.
What did he do? Oh, in the room?
Yeah.
They were still spraying air freshener.
That's correct. I shit the bed.
Oh, kicking Sam.
No.
Well, he mentioned the casting director's name.
Yes.
Well, she won an Emmy for a little show called Freaks and Geeks. That's the only reason I bring it up.
It is 2 degrees of Sam Levine once again. I love it.
Please.
So then the second audition, Julia's in the room, little intimidating, but she's awesome, just wants to work and play. Then third audition, we had to come back again, Julia again, and then one other, I think Anna, who'd already been cast because she did In the Loop, and then the fourth audition was the Manchurian Candidate, HBO executives in the back of a theater at HBO, and then us nervously, and then they sequester you in the room, and you see your opposition, the guy who's competing, you two, but there's like 8 of us. That whole cage match feel,
Yeah.
very, very stressful, and then they pull you away one by one to sign your deal in case you get this show.
Oh, yeah.
7 years, you are committed to this, and you're like, okay, and then they bring you back into the room.
Yeah.
Very strange, and then fortunately it all worked out. Yeah.
Right.
Very strange, though, very strange process. And then the show itself is
Initially it was 6 episodes? How many episodes?
we did 8
8.
first season,
8.
10 this coming season, and they flew us to England for the first season, and we did like a week of reading and getting on our feet and improvising, kind of like theater camp, just sort of figuring out. And I think the writers wanted to see sort of plain-spoken America, because all the writers are Brits. Every single one of the writers who wrote on In the Loop and Alan Partridge, they're really good.
Did they do a British version of this first?
There's a show called The Thick of It.
Thick of It.
Yes, which is very similar. This would be...
Is it Parliament or no?
It's like local... I wish I could...
Small town government?
Yes, small town government, yes.
Okay.
Yes, very similar though, yeah.
Because this was so brilliant that for years everyone has known that the vice president is there just in case. Other than the president dying, what the fuck is your daily function? And it's the minutia.
Yes.
It's always funny of a show.
It's a great comedic premise, like to take that character and to never say what party they are. Like you don't know if she's Republican or Democrat.
Don't know, and I do love that every show there's a moment where she stops
The
by
president
her secretary's desk and says,
Yeah.
"Did the president call?" And secretary goes,
No.
She's done saying no.
Yes.
She just looks up for the first like 7 episodes very politely. No, ma'am. And then now it's just.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great bit, and I'm sure every episode they'll hit it again.
Yeah, it just finds a great way of saying it slightly different each time.
Yeah, and we got to do a lot of wonderful, like, met congressional...
You spent some time, walked through the West Wing.
Did a couple days and did the West Wing, got to see Michelle Obama being scurried between the West Wing and I think the Eisenhower building. She was lovely. Just a quick hello. Got to go into Biden's office. Saw this big red foam, which I think goes to the Oval Office. I don't think it's the nuke
It
phone.
actually goes to the barbershop
Yeah.
on Main Street.
Just to order more vice presidential M&Ms.
This goes directly to the commissioner in case Batman needs to
Yes,
come out.
yeah, Commissioner
And
Gordon's
you
phone.
should know that, being as big a Batman fan as you are, Matt.
I always forget that I'm a big Batman fan. Thank you for reminding me.
You're so welcome.
But yeah, it was great to meet and then to go out and have drinks and hear the real stories with like the people who support the congresswoman or congressman or the senator. That's always where you find out the details. So it's interesting to see the workings of DC and when we came in, I think we were there in March, right when all the Tea Party folks had just gotten into office. They were already telling us how they're gumming up the works and there's no way this Congress is going to pass anything. They were calling it in February of their first term because these guys in the Tea Party, they like to talk and they treat the House of Reps like it's the Senate. Now the Senate, you have license to talk. You have filibusters and there's also intellectual discourse because there's only 100 dudes in that room. This room has 535 people. It's just like, shut the fuck up, yes or no. That's really, and they usually crank out 5 or 6 bills a day. When those folks got into town, it just shut down. It just started like gumming up the works. People, you can't talk, stop talking. This isn't a debate, we're just going to say, and then it just.
And you got to see some of that.
Yeah, we got to see some of that, and just people calling it. Like this was February into their acceptance into Congress.
Right.
They were like, this is bad news.
Your
Nothing's going to
character
get done.
on the show, I mean, you must have drawn from your showbiz experiences as well as some of the politicians that you observed, but you had lots of time to be around show business jerks that are supposed to be giving the truth, like your character is supposed to be really kind of like a buffer.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yes.
Protecting and yet wanting to give her the straight skinny also.
A little bit, yeah.
But will he?
I think so. I think Mike McClintock is my character. I truly like the vice president a lot. I do have sincere loyalty, but I'm also a little fatigued by like riding this train. I've been with her forever, and I couldn't be happier that we're in the vice presidency. Like to me, let's just stay here because the catering's good and we get limos everywhere.
There's no pressure.
And there's no pressure. Yeah, I prefer that. Yeah, he would definitely prefer that.
Yeah.
So, but he's honest with her when he has to be, and he's also like show business. Right? You look beautiful today. Great speech. Like always,
Yeah.
like an agent or so funny. So funny.
Well, that's what I
Selena,
thought.
so funny.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like when the writers are in the room during a table read of a sitcom.
Laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, and you can tell which writer wrote the joke because he's
They're laughing the hardest.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Looking for someone to back him up.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It is like that. And she wants to hear it too. Like part of her
Yeah. Sure.
likes being told she's pretty and likes being told she had a great speech and likes being told she's amazing because she needs that too. She's a human being.
Right.
So it's an interesting relationship. But it's really fun to do, and it's like to meet all those people and to like portray them is a crazy honor. It's so fun.
You spend most of the time in Baltimore?
Be more, yep. We do like episode every 5 days, and we'll do one day where we go to DC and we'll run out of the monument or we'll go
Right.
past the Supreme Court or something, yeah.
But otherwise it's studio facilities in Baltimore?
Studio facilities in Baltimore, and then anything that Baltimore looks, when you're outside of like the administrative building, looks like DC, that mid-Atlantic sort of, not northeast, but kind of feel, foliage and all that. So we shoot all the locations in Baltimore. And then we have a big vice president office in a studio in like just outside of Baltimore.
They still go to O'Bricky's for crab?
I've never been, I've heard of O'Bricky's, but we get our crab from like the ghetto. We go to the real deal
Where the
shops.
comedians are.
Yeah, the comedy ghetto. No, we go to the neighborhoods that have crab shacks and get it there. Like O'Bricky's, I think, is a nicer sit down. We haven't been there yet.
When are you guys going to do a shot-for-shot remake of The Wire? As long as you're in Baltimore.
I've been on the Wire tour. They took us through
The Wire tour?
Well,
I love this.
the
We have to go
location.
now.
You love the Wire,
Yes,
obviously.
yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite shows, and never a moment of false acting in that show. Like that's what's impeccable about that. It's always real, right?
Well, you spend half the time trying to figure out if they got a civilian who hadn't acted before.
Yes.
And the other half of the time thinking, is this guy English or American?
Yeah.
Is this guy Irish or American? 'Cause
Yeah.
boy, do they use a lot of non-Americans as well.
Yes, they do.
I mean, they really fuck you up with the casting of that show, soup to nuts.
Yes, they do.
So the Wire tour.
We had the locations supervisor.
Sure, must have known. Yeah, let me take you to.
And we bugged him, come on, please. So he took us to all the locations we could go to, and some were not still standing. In other neighborhoods, we had to keep going because there were kids on the corner slinging and moving product. And then we went to where we saw Marlowe's house. We saw where Chris killed Snoop.
Oh,
The
spoiler alert.
alleyway. It's not a spoiler. It's like,
I'm fucking with you.
what's the statute of limitations on a show that's been off the air for, what, 6, 7 years?
I think we go the same thing with capital punishment.
What is
crime, 7 years.
7 years,
Yeah.
okay. So if a show's been off for 7 years, you can give away the spoiler.
Right.
Fair enough, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
But yeah, we saw it all. And the final scene where the field where they gave the guy comeuppance for killing Prop Joe. Do you remember that scene? Yeah, we saw that field. We saw a lot of stuff. We saw Amsterdam.
Wow.
Yeah, we saw it all. It was really
What
beautiful.
is Amsterdam looking like at this point?
An
Question.
empty, boarded up, with a few residents still holding on,
Right.
row house
Right.
area.
Right.
I had heard that while they were shooting, as you just said, there are areas where you have to move pretty quickly because there are kids there slinging.
Yeah.
Like when they were shooting, they would take the location of an area where normally people were dealing, and so then there were almost like gang wars over why are they on our block?
Yeah.
And then they would move them into a different area, and it almost basically started gang wars amongst all the kids actually dealing while the show was shooting.
They had relationships with the criminals in that town, obviously, and
Yeah.
they never had an incident. But the guy told us one day there was a shooting like 50 feet from their sort of set boundary, and a gentleman who had been shot stumbled into their set, and they had to get the medic, and they had to get the ambulance, and they had to make sure this guy was stable so they could save his life.
I love you for saying the gentleman who'd been shot.
It was a man.
Okay.
Gentleman dealer.
From our
Gentleman dealer.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they're known. Yeah,
We got a gentleman dealer. We need a squad.
From the chat room, live question. Flying in from the chat room, sir, from Shay42. I wish Kevin would ask Matt about working with Chris Morris,
Oh, my
who
God.
directed Four Lions and an episode of Veep. There, I did. Shut your fucking pie hole. Now, please.
Chris Morris,
Do you have anything you'd like to share about
he
that?
is one of the guest directors on Veep, and
Gentleman director?
He's a gentleman director, did a show called Brass Eye. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No, sir.
Early prank show, really well done. And then he did Four Lions. And he was the one guy, more so than Julie even, because she's so good, I was intimidated. For like 2 or 3 days, I couldn't talk to him, because he's kind of a genius, and I didn't know if he liked me or not. So I wasn't myself around him for like 2 or 3 days, because I really was impressed with this guy. His work is just amazing.
Yeah.
But after a while, very normal, very friendly. They're all lovely, and he is especially lovely.
You have similar directors that come because you don't do that many episodes?
No, Armando, the first season did 5, and then we had a guy named Tristan Shapiro who did 2, another Brit, and then we had Chris Morris who did 1, another Brit. So it's all like British writers and directors. It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the episodes on Showtime. They shoot. No one can believe they shoot that show in the Britannia.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Doesn't Eve do the special
100%.
effects?
Yeah,
she
she does the
makes it look
VFX.
like Malibu.
Yeah.
Really?
The entire,
Have you ever
I
seen the
certainly
show?
said the entire first
I've seen
season
one
was shot in
episode.
The
London.
show's really, really good.
It is funny,
I
yeah.
can't believe it's still all shot.
I know definitely the first season. I don't know after
Yeah.
that.
Because now they're doing like Rodeo Drive and things that are ridiculous
You'd be surprised what they can do.
And then, for no reason, someone from Hoth walks by in the background. And you know that it's been
Ice Planet Hoth?
the Ice Planet Hoth. Have you been to the new Star Tours, revamped Star
At
Tours?
Disneyland?
He made me-
Fantastic.
Yes, we were talking right before the show how he just went to Disneyland.
We just did this thing where all the grown-ups from 8 to 12, you pay $100 and you get to ride all the rides in Fantasyland from like 8 to 12. I was just there last week. It was incredible.
Just grown-ups? What do you
Well, there wasn't kids there. Like me and my wife went and we met some friends there, and it's just there's free booze and food. You've paid for it.
What?
What the hell? I never even heard
It was
of
called their Oktoberfest event, and I got pulled into it because I have a
this. Did
friend.
you know
who's-
about this, Kenny?
They have hats with German flags.
Yes, yes.
Oh, Kenny!
Hey, why didn't you say something?
Oh, Doghouse Kenny!
It was amazing because you could get. We did like.
Plan next year's right now.
I did the Matterhorn 5 times. And I forced my wife on it, and she's terrified of roller coasters. That was the funniest part. She was screaming the whole
Did you
time.
enjoy the Yeti?
Oh, Yeti scares it.
The Yeti has a name.
What's the name?
His name is Harold.
Harold.
Yeah.
Very scary, yeah.
He's 56?
He's been there since 1959, so do the math. I don't do math.
53.
53. He looks good.
He does.
Looks good, yeah.
White. His hair went white.
Yeah. They age better.
They well,
White don't
because
crack.
it's white right away. White don't crack. Wait, no, it's the opposite of that.
Black don't crack.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
White all crack. There's a podcast on Sirius Radio, Ass Cats Everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And how fun and/or strange is the annual Del Close Marathon?
I would liken the Del Close Marathon to the Big Slick poker event in Kansas City. It's a debauched couple of days, a lot of partying, and a lot of funny people hanging out together. Del Close Marathon is larger because it's 3,000 people coming to see shows or whatever. I don't even know how it is. Hundreds of teams from all over the country doing shows at 5 different venues. Starts Friday at 5 o'clock and ends Sunday night at 4 in the morning.
And you remember just a few minutes from each trip.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the
That's
last
hardcore.
Big Slick. I think I mentioned when at some point you get into these songs on the bus and they're chants, and one of these awful songs ends up being about John Hamm's fictional daughter on Mad Men. They're singing about her, and then you hear John Hamm, whose voice is blown out within the first
screaming.
6 hours of the first day.
Yeah.
Now we're in the last 6 hours of the whole weekend, and John Hamm yells from the back of the bus, "She's a child!" As a way of saying stop singing the song.
You can't tell that group to stop anything. Like, that is just asking for more.
She's a child!
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Somebody emailed me or sent me a video of one of the chants, and I can't remember what it was, but I still have that somewhere in my phone.
And your buddy Owen Burke can emit a sound that puts you on your back in an instant.
Yeah, it's like a skunk spray. It's his defense mechanism.
It is a sound that only you wish only dogs could hear.
Yeah.
But it shuts down everything.
Yeah.
There's 19 people on the bus, and they're talking about having 17 different conversations, and then it just and it pierces the entire fucking bus, and everyone goes,
"Stop it!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is just in the corner like this, making the sound, and he's so happy. And he's just fucked everyone's happiness.
Yep. That
Just
is
by
exactly
making a
his
sound.
posture, too. I
Yeah,
can
right?
see him, like, half slooped over.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
I don't know how he discovered that even. Like,
Yeah, well, there's no not doing it. Once
No,
you
once you
realize
have
can,
it.
look, you can shit on everyone's party.
and I think people pinch him to do it, too. Come on, Owen, do it.
And they're encouraging him until he starts, and then they want to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not enjoyable.
Sir, you have answered all these questions correctly. And we've
What do
kept
I
you
win?
well beyond the hour that I promised.
What do I win?
You will get a gift bag on the way out.
Oh, I don't need a gift.
By the way, well, no, every guest gets.
Oh, thank
Don't
you.
feel special.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
just because you showed up.
Thank you.
You get one of those damn things. Okay, so Veep, you're about to shoot.
Season 2.
Right.
In like a week, I leave.
Yeah, because I know the first week that's breaking my heart is like the first week of
What was the
November.
role? Was it like
I think
chief of staff or
he's
something
a new
for the
guy
president?
from the president's office. Yeah, I know.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Because I was like, fuck me,
Can
Can
you
they
guys
work
just-
around the? No, it's
No,
that week.
no,
You gotta
yeah.
be there that
Could
week.
you guys just be quiet for a while? I'm calling my agent. Let's see if they're going to go a little younger on this. They're not. They're not going younger.
They're not answering
they're
your
not gonna
call?
go younger.
Not going to go younger.
Okay.
He always calls and says, "Will they go younger? A younger version of Kevin?" Because I'm right here.
Right here.
Or he's the Russian nesting doll of you.
Inside Kevin is Sam.
You pop off his head.
Hey now. What did I just see you in again?
Ted.
Also.
The
I didn't see Ted.
well, you should have because he was hilarious in it.
Were you a lot in the Ted?
I had 3 or 4 scenes.
3 or 4
Classic,
breakout
supporting.
hilarious.
All funny.
Solid.
And, okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Sammy. How
problem.
is Seth as a director?
Really nice and very funny.
Because I can't imagine it's improvised.
My stuff was.
Really?
Because I had very little with the bear, but I think even with the bear, he was dressed in a motion capture and improvising with Mark or
But I just meant as
Mila.
a director, he's also the writer.
He is the writer. He did have a...
I mean, he wrote with Alec.
Yes.
Right.
But I was actually surprised because he was so laissez-faire. I had no idea it was going to turn out well because he was really loose and had fun, which is great for a comedy, I think, ultimately.
Yeah, you want a happy set.
Very happy set, and I was just like, you aren't working at all. I hope this turns out because I'm having a blast. And it did. It turned out great, obviously.
It turned out insane.
But it was very loose and fun, and Wahlberg was nice, and it was good. Very, very successful.
There was something else I saw you in, and it wasn't the opening scene or the trailer they kept showing for Animal Practice.
During the Olympics, they showed that.
Yeah, they kept showing that scene.
Wasn't Hung, was it?
It must have been.
Which
no,
you were
'cause
so good on.
I never
did
saw
some
that
Hung.
show, but I saw in the dossier you did.
I got to do a love scene with Anne Heche.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I had heard she decided actually to go back to being a lesbian after the love scene with.
Oh.
Because she
For
seemed
as
happily
much-
married,
She is happily married.
done
Nice
with
man.
that lesbian stuff,
I think I turned her back.
and
yeah.
then
Yeah. I may have.
something about
I may have.
kissing you that reminded her of a vagina.
More like me being on top of her, and it was a comedic love scene, thank God.
I see.
And I was singing a song from Man of La Mancha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I thought it would turn her on, and it's just cuts of her, me on top of her, just kind of tolerating my lovemaking.
And then Jamie's right there yelling Goulet.
Goulet.
Didn't you yell Goulet once at a Broadway show
It was La Cage aux Folles.
of La Cage aux Folles?
Yes. He was
The Gene
the
Hackman
Robin
role
Williams.
from the
Yeah,
movie?
no, the Robin Williams
Oh.
role from the movie.
From the movie, yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and I kept screaming, Goulet!
Yeah. I love that story. But the Hung thing lasted 2-3 years. You did one season. Like
I did 2 seasons.
No, you did do 2
Yeah,
seasons.
I was in the second.
You were her husband.
Second and
Played her husband, yeah, second and third. Yeah, played her husband, and I was a doctor, and then we ended up getting involved. I wasn't her husband. I'm sorry. I can't let that lie live on the internet.
No, don't.
I was merely an affair. She broke up with.
Thomas Jane.
Yes, Thomas
Or
Jane
no,
is the
first
initial one,
Thomas
and
Jane,
then Eddie Jacobson.
Jameson.
Eddie Jameson, who was her husband in the first and second season. Yeah.
Right.
And then I came in as a doctor, and I employed her, and then we had an affair, and then my wife found out about it, and it was just really abusive and ugly. Funny, very funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah, very funny.
One thing I have
And
noticed.
they asked me to get naked if I wanted to, and I said, no, I don't.
They gave you the option.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah.
I often go with, he doesn't really sleep naked. He's not one of those guys. Not one of those guys who's comfortable sleeping naked.
That's
I'm
a
not
much
saying
better
full-on-
answer.
I'm not saying full-on pajamas, tops
Yeah.
and bottoms, but he's just one of those guys that.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be naked.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That was funny, though. They're like, we were thinking you might want to be naked. What do you think? No, I don't think so.
Because they just want funny.
Yeah. They just want naked. They want everyone on that show to get naked at some point.
Yeah.
So,
I just realized what the show is missing, and that is, of course, a game that's been sweeping the nation.
Right.
One that I don't know, warned about. It's called Who Tweeted.
go ahead.
Sammy?
And here I was prepared.
Celebrities have so much to say.
Who tweeted?
Is the game we're gonna play.
Great.
Okay.
You did great. Oh boy!
This I think you're going to like.
This is it. The big day.
Can I tell you about it a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay, good.
All right. So this is Who Tweeted? One at a time. I'm
Or
gonna read a
competing. I
series-
love it even more.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Please.
It's a heads-up battle.
I will destroy you.
I'm going to
Yes,
read a
Paul.
series
I
of
will
8
kill you.
tweets.
San
all of whom-
Francisco, Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
All right.
Paris
all of
Niners.
which were written by either Tyra, Paris, or Bieber.
Got it.
Each of these
So
was written by one of them.
as soon as I will begin reading it, as soon as you feel like you know who wrote it, you ring in.
Oh, I can interrupt it halfway and say,
That's
this is
right.
who. Okay.
So you ring in.
And then
by
if
saying,
he guesses and is wrong, can I ask for the rest of the...
Nope.
I can't get
we
the
can
rest
ask
of the
for
tweet?
the rest of it, but you can't win.
And here's why.
I can't win.
It
Well,
then
here's
ends.
why.
It just
Because
ends.
You ring and you get it right, you get yourself 5 points. You ring and you get it wrong, you lose 3.
Right, that's why there's no reason for you to then answer correctly.
Okay.
Because I'm going
All
to lose
right.
3 if I get it wrong.
Okay.
And,
Also, just to give you a heads up, because it's an unfair advantage if you don't know, they are purposely chosen to not be obviously written by one of the three.
Surprisingly written by that person.
So that's kind of a theme.
Okay.
Every now and then it'll be too easy, but not very often. So I just like the guest to have a fair knowledge of that.
And are you good at this?
I don't follow any of them either, so that's the fun of it.
I don't either.
You know,
Now, I know you have a litter of children at home.
Mm-hmm.
So just a heads up, that's going home with the litter.
Wow.
Are we playing for a dancing Andrew Jackson?
He hasn't danced in this studio once, but...
No? Because his air conditioning's not strong enough? Yeah. See, in the other studio, he'd dance like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Bojangles
You do.
motherfucking dance. All right.
Well, there you go.
Okay. So that's a cash prize.
Cash prize, $20 US.
I've seen one of those before.
Andy J.
I've seen one of those
That's
before.
at least 5 bags of peanuts for you and your young.
Yeah, that's a In-N-Out Burger meal for the whole family.
Absolutely. All right. Are you ready to play, Mr. Matt Walsh?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Tweet number 1. Me and my inspiration. I get it from my mama. Who inspires...
Beep. Bieber.
Tyra.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Was in fact Ms. Tyra Banks.
You buzz in by saying your name, by the way.
Oh, I say Matt.
That's that way.
I said beep.
That's why he'll know which
That's all right.
one
All right,
is
fine.
fine.
I heard you.
Got it.
Jamal,
I'm down 3.
when you get a second, look up
What?
something. Never mind.
Look up what?
Go ahead. I just realized that it's not something.
That we're on the air?
Yeah.
Tweet number 2.
Directions to dinner.
On a plane about to take off to Bangkok, Thailand. Excited! This is my first trip there. Smiley face.
Paris. Beep. Matt Walsh.
That is correct.
Nicely done. You pick up the 5.
I
What-
got to my name
Sam
eventually.
and I already picked dinner.
Okay, good.
That's what you're asking.
So yes, thank you. So that you're +2 now.
Okay.
I'm still 0.
I broke the 0. Okay.
You're back ahead.
Tweet number 3.
I would Paris. That was strong.
That was a strong.
Why Bangkok?
I
was it?
figured Bieber's been to Bangkok.
But
And why would Tyra need to go there? I
but
don't know.
hadn't Paris been to Bangkok?
Whoa. That's how we got to know her.
These jokes write themselves.
Didn't we get to know her through Bangkok?
Tweet number 3. I'm going on Katie Couric's show now.
Beaver. Kevin. Beaver.
Incorrect.
Damn it! Son of a bitch. Cock.
Can you tell me who it was, or it doesn't
I'll
matter?
finish reading it.
Sure.
I'm going on Katie Couric's show now. Turn on your TV. Check your local times for when I'm on in your hood.
Oh, it's Tyra.
That's correct.
Good. Yeah.
That's right.
Spit take. That's going to make the greatest hits for the Kevin Pollak Chat Show. Very rarely have I seen him do an authentic spit take.
Holy shit,
That
y'all!
is funny.
Holy shit, y'all!
Oh my God, I love that. Oh,
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's fun.
Can I get you some more water?
Yes, I
Because
would
this
love
can't
some.
be the only spit take of the show. Yeah. I now insist that the guest has to try to top it, even though it's going
Even
to
if
be
it's
artificial at this point.
yeah, I know.
You
All
must
right.
top it.
I will.
Try not to spray the equipment.
We
is
still
all
have
I ask.
5 tweets to go.
Okay.
I mean, surely.
So I lost that one. You're ahead +2 to -3. Here we go.
Tweet number 4. Doubt me. I like it.
What?
You heard me.
Doubt me, I like it?
Doubt me, ellipsis, with 4 periods in it. I like it.
Matt Walsh. Beaver.
Taking a commanding lead, Matt Walsh.
Son of a bitch, how do you even know what that means?
I don't know.
All right, you just felt it.
Oh.
I think we all got a taste of that one.
Did I get you over there?
Not known for his spit takes.
Oh, my.
That was a whale blow.
Oh, that was.
more of a whale blow.
That was not from a man's gullet. It was from a blowhole.
I hope I didn't get
That
anything
was
wet.
deep and way out of here.
Most of this equipment is free anyway.
Okay.
Sweet.
That was genius.
Number 5.
And some on the paper here.
What do you think of my Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz Halloween costume from last year?
Kevin Paris.
That is correct.
Finally!
That was good.
Cock!
I couldn't pull the trigger on it, but that's
It's all right. So you still have a 5-point lead, baby. You're rocking this game.
where are we at? 6?
Tweet number 6. People travel the world over in search of what they need and return home to find it. Hashtag family.
Kevin Beebs.
Ooh! Sorry, no.
Fuck, prick, cock.
Hard to
Tyra.
believe. Ms. Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton.
See?
Wow.
These are hard.
Paris Hilton.
Am I?
And the problem was, it's a hashtag family, but it was supposed to be hashtag gangbang.
And it's all come full circle.
I'm,
Almost a spit take on that one.
if only I had a glass of water. Tweet number 7. About to do my makeup in the car. Don't worry, not driving. Contemplating, should I put on foundation or rock natural skin?
Kevin Tyra.
That is correct.
Come back,
Ooh.
kid.
And it has come down to the 8th and final tweet.
I have
Score.
+7 to +4.
That is what I have as well.
It's anyone's game.
So really, it's anyone's game.
Okay.
If Kevin rings in and gets this correct,
I know.
he will
I was
win.
playing
You ring in and get it
defensively.
correct, you
I
win.
was
You ring
letting
in and
you-
get it wrong,
I
we're
was
going to be
hanging back
tied.
to see if you got one wrong.
If you ring in and get it wrong, we're tied.
tied.
I know.
In which case, we go to a
So the
final
question
timer.
is,
Yeah, I see.
there's a slight advantage
By ringing
in
in.
your position.
Yes, I
You can
see that.
only tie.
Yes.
Or,
If I lay back, you could win.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear that.
Here we go.
Good luck.
Tweet.
Good luck
Number
to you.
8. Big news. I'm now working with Adidas Neo label. Find my gold shoes online, and you could bring them to me in person.
Beep, Walsh, Bieber.
That's correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, our winner, Matt Walsh. That is how you play.
Decidedly.
And win.
Aggressively.
Who tweeted by a
Go
score
for
at
the
it.
tie.
Well,
Go for the
go
tie
at
at the
it.
very least. Yeah.
Sir, you have earned this.
Nicely done. In and out for the family.
My favorite charity.
Right?
There you go.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you,
Thank
Sammy.
you.
Thank you. Nicely done.
Celebrities have so much to say.
Who tweeted?
Is the game that we just played.
Play on the site. Go to kevinpollakchatshow.com and play on the site your own damn self. Don't forget to write to us at contact@kevinpollakchatshow.com with your questions and your queries. We had one loaded up on how I do. You can write us and tell us how you do the show. Do you watch us? Do you listen? Do you pick it up the next day on Hulu? Do you download from the I can't thank you enough. I hope you had fun.
I hope I did a good job.
Please.
Great.
This is a win-win-win-win.
Great.
Yeah. Big fans
Great.
here. And now we feel like we know a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just laughing at you anymore. I think now we laugh with you.
Mother, I don't like any of you. Now that I know you've been laughing at me. Especially you.
Well, we
You.
didn't know you. There was no emotional connection.
Okay.
That's what we went for today.
Okay.
We try to get a connection and crazy sloppy spit takes.
I know. That was fun.
I really let loose.
That really
This is
made
a
me
water
happy.
hazard now.
That made me happy.
That
Very
whole-
rarely do you get to witness a real one.
That whole 3, you want to stay away from the water hazard because it's now a valley of water. The new season of Veep comes back on the air in
April
Sure.
of next year.
look for April of 2013. Please write to us and offer up your very own Larry King game. If you write one to us at contact@kevinpollakchatshow.com and I use it, I'll be sending you a T-shirt, one of which will be going to our guest today, which he will then give to the Spanish gentleman that blows the leaves out of his yard.
That reminds me of two
Gentlemen.
stories.
Mind you of 2
Gentlemen.
stories?
2 stories.
Gentlemen. The gentleman
One
leaf
was-
blower.
Gentlemen.
Ileana Douglas found a chat show shirt at a Goodwill.
At a Goodwill.
Awesome.
Yeah. Which means
Awesome.
the leaf blower then took it to the Goodwill and got $4 for it.
And then another one was a friend at the chat show, and sometimes he comes and works, fills in for us, Corey Levin.
Uh-huh.
Saw like a heavy-set African-American woman like driving around wearing one who clearly was also like it was given to her.
Yeah. These T-shirts have a life.
You're clothing the city of Los Angeles.
Well,
Great.
we're givers.
Have you been to the Sudan?
A lot of people take
Hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
We insist.
Right,
on
right next to the 2003 Cubs World Series champion
Yeah.
shirts.
I think the poster child for UNICEF is wearing one. Somehow matriculated into Central Africa.
By
Now
the way,
we're
we need to
talking.
order more larges. We need to order more larges.
Yes. By the way, So write to us there. Otherwise, you'll see what a Larry King game looks like when we have our guest at the end of the show offer up theirs, and it is in fact that time. When you are ready, sir, that's the camera you'll be doing it into. I shall go over the rules with you one more time. I'm looking for a bad Larry King. I don't want a good one.
Yeah.
Bad one's funny. And then Larry shares something about himself. Anything from his past. He's been around a couple 100 years. It could go anywhere. Shares anything about himself that nobody needs to know, and then go to the phone.
Got
If the
it.
name of the city is funny sounding, we're not going to be upset.
Okay.
All right. That's all. That's all of it, mister.
This is
Use
I'm
the
ready.
space. Use the space.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Go to the 2 for a second. You got to go to the 2 for. There you go.
I pit fought a hobo and a monkey in the Marines in Korea. I created Ebola, and I've cut my kids' hair since they were 7. DeKalb, you're on the phone.
That's called commitment. You kids out there who think you can phone in the comedy, that is a commitment clinic, and I thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Please sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up for the
Please.
folks at home and around the
Absolutely.
seas to seas and shore to shore. There you have it. Show number 159 in the cannoli. I want to thank everyone involved here, the Dr. Chen within the studio that we've heard from, Sammy, and the lovely Jamie as well, who's getting fan mail through the computer and the phone at the same time. She's popular. It happens.
No, I was just staring at Harold Ramis
Deal.
on my phone.
Oh, man. And then you've got the 3 magical J's out there, one of which ran off like a 9-year-old girl into the night. But it's J, Mac, Josh, and Justin. And then Samantha, our very own Ward, was out because she's working on the, is it Universal Studios where she's doing the prosthetic
Hollywood
makeup?
Horror Nights.
So we
Our makeup artist is so amazing. She specializes in special effects makeup, and she's really talented.
Samantha Ward, if you're looking for hiring, write
She's
to a
she's
contact
amazing.
at
They have their theme this year is Walking Dead, and
She's
been
extraordinary.
doing.
So she sent a friend of hers today to help her.
Yeah, who was great, and her name was Keely, the Keely Smith.
The Keely. Well, we love her so.
Married to Louis Prima.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Louis Prima fan. Do you know I'm 50?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all true. All those things are true and more. So write to us at contact@kevinpollockchacho.com. Go to the iTunes, write us a review. We'd love to hear from you in any way, shape, or form you want to reach out. Be with us. Thank you for your love and support. So until next week when we sit down with Mickey Dolans, which I'm oh so excited about. Until next time, and until then, and as always, get out of my face.